I couldn't see if we were live or not, and I thought I might have connected to the wrong event. But here we are. This is always going to be a dodgy one with the with the first episode. So I believe that I am live, and I'm just going to check in the event and see that it is live in the right place. Oh, love. Oh, yes, we're here. Oh, but it cut off. Oh, okay. So let's hope that we are live. I will remove that one from evidence. And oh, it's happening now. We're live, everyone. I hope everyone found us. Okay. We're here. It's live. We are on the internet.
Okay, composure.
Composure. Okay. Thank you so much for being here for my first very dodgy live. This is going to be an example of my my speaking skills. Here we are. We've had through. Thank you very much, Nicole, for being here, for getting this out in the open with me, and for kicking my butt and getting me to get on these lives, because I've wanted to do this for ages. This is the bloody truth. If you're unsure what you're watching, someone have a meltdown because they couldn't connect to the internet. That's what happens when you're 44. But yes, this was a series of lives that I wanted to do called The Bloody Truth, to really get the idea out there that we really need to change the conversation about menstrual health and wellness, and I have just the most wonderful connections now, and I thought I'm going to get them all online and have this conversation with me. So here we are, Nicole. I will leave it to you to introduce yourself for a moment, and I'm going to stop talking.
Sorry, I'm still giggling, and I'm still having a breakdown. So at the moment, hopefully you can all hear me. I'm in Gambia at the moment. Day 4 without a suitcase. I have no clothes. No clothes. I just have to get that out of my body. So the fact that the internet collapsed and all sorts, I'm not surprised. It's the story of my life at the moment. Nothing seems to be going right. But no, first of all, Samantha, massive, huge congratulations to you. Because like you said, this has been in your body for a while. It's something that you've wanted to talk about. You've wanted to do your lives. So congratulations. You have to celebrate these massive wins. And you're doing it. You are doing it. You've got your series up and running. So congratulations to you. And you're an absolute pleasure to work with. So, what would you like me to say? Who am I?
Yes, if you introduce yourself, you'll do it in much better words than I will.
It's really it's so funny, Samantha, because I was having this conversation with my husband this morning, and I was like, you always get asked, who are you? And you tend to go into this. So I'm an international best-selling author. I'm a multi-award winner and all this stuff. But if you really want to know who is Nicole, I am a woman who is standing in my power unapologetically. And I have learned to do that after decades of hiding, but now I am standing in my truth. So that's who Nicole is. Loving who I am at the moment. That's who I am.
I love that. You are just like an incredible person, and I've been so lucky to have like coaching sessions with you. That was just the universe conspiring, I think, because it was a gift from the universe as I won it, and at the Own Your Awesome Awards. So that was been amazing. Yeah, I can definitely vouch for Nicole. Like you, if you have any doubts about what you're doing and you need a kick up the bum and some fierceness in your life and a personal cheerleader, Nicole is definitely the one.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
But yes, so what we were going to talk about today is, oh good, everyone, the comments are coming in. I'm just having a look. Sassy's found us, Kirsty's found us. Good. Some people on the internet have found us. So our title today was Bodies, Bleeding and Belonging. And I just wanted to start by, if you had any personal story you wanted to share, either yours or something that you've seen about being a person who has periods,
Yeah.
finding that in yourself, what's your
Yeah.
experience?
And you know what it is, right, Samantha? I first saw you speak. So just to give everyone some context, I first saw you speak. So I'd seen you on the internet. I'd seen like some of your posts here and there. And I'm just going to be brutally honest because there may be other people that felt the same. And I remember when I first saw your name with the blood drops, I was like, oh my God, what do you mean? I was just like, it kind of made me, it wasn't a cringing or a disgust. It was just like, oh, it was just like, I've not seen anything and the boldness. And I loved that because we need to be talking about so many topics that we don't talk about. And then I saw you speak at Michelle Hartley's amazing Geek Get Together in Birmingham last year. And she's doing another one this year. I don't know if she's still got tickets, but if she has, please go and book one. Little plug there. But I saw you speak there and I was speaking at the same event and you just blew me away. And the fact that I'm so like into my spiritual stuff as well, I've got like flipping like moon cycle tattoo along my arm and everything was connected to the moon and your knowledge. And I just thought, why the hell did I not know this? I mean, I'm now going through bloody menopause, so I'm at the end of this. I'm still going through my cycles, mind you. But you just honestly, your knowledge, your expertise, your softness, all of the stuff that comes with the way that you talk about this topic, to me, it's amazing. Honestly, Samantha, I can't gush on you enough. But when I think about periods in my own experience, when I came on at 11, so I think that's an early starter-ish because my sister didn't start her period till she was 16. And I just remember my nan saying to me, "Don't get pregnant." And I was thinking, what? What? I mean, I was 11 for God's sake. And then that was literally it. I don't even
Mm,
remember how I got into I remember feeling quite embarrassed about buying pads and sanitary towels. Um, and then trying to work out. I mean, I didn't know anything around emotions being connected to this time and hormones and all that malarkey. Probably not until I was in my late 20s. I was a teenage mom. I had my first son at 19. So, I mean, I'd had children back before I'd even realized what this all meant. I just know it comes every month. And in my head, if it doesn't come, you're pregnant. That was, that was nothing.
yeah.
That was it. That was it. I don't remember learning anything at school. Yes, I'd speak to other people because I'd get really, really bad cramps. I get headaches. It's even probably now that I'm in my 50s, probably late 40s, I started to really understand that, okay, these sugar cravings are connected to my cycle because I'm a cheese person. I love savory stuff. So if I buy a chocolate, then I say, shit, I'm coming on. That was kind of like I'd have those little signs. My body was quite good to me in terms of the fact that my period has always been on time, on point. At one point, I had the coil, so I was very heavy and I'd bleed for
Mm,
longer. As soon as I took that out, then I bled for shorter. Um, I was always like a sanitary towel type of girl because I just didn't like, I'm kind of a lot older. So tampons probably wasn't where they are now. And plus, I always had this thing about putting something inside, didn't like the idea of that. Plus, I wanted to see if I had clots and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost self-taught or learning on the job, so to speak, to be honest, Samantha. But you know what's really weird? I have to share this story, and I mean, I love my geeky weirdness, but so I'm going through menopause now, and I missed my period 2 years ago in April, which was my birthday, my 50th birthday, and I was like, universe, thank you. This is the best present you could have given me. I'm finally menopausal. Goodbye, because I call my periods the sister from the Red Hills. So I'm like, the sister from the Red Hills has come down to see me, and then my period came back in the May. Then it was consistent, and then it disappeared again, and then it started to taper off, and then it came back, and then one day it went away, and I literally was like, "Oh my God, I didn't get to say goodbye," and I felt really.
oh,
It was so weird. I literally had this
mm,
little. It wasn't like a mini diva breakdown, but it was like, "Oh my God, this is something that has been so consistent in my life." I've moaned about it, complained about it. You wear different clothes. I've got period knickers. I've got a drawer that's just period knickers, right? And then when I thought, oh my God, she's gone. And I'd plan my holidays around it. I'd plan,
mm,
I'd plan intimacy around it. I'd plan my waxing around it because when I'm coming on, it
yeah,
hurts more when I'm getting waxed. Everything's planned around her. And then I was like, oh my God, she's gone. And I had a big like argument with her the month before. I am talking about my period here, people, just so we're clear. It's not a human being.
yeah.
And I remember saying, I remember sitting there and she came and I was like, why are you here? I'm in my 50s. You need to go. Then the next month she didn't come. And I was like, I didn't mean it. I mean, I don't really want you to come back, but we shouldn't
Yeah.
have left on bad terms. And it
I didn't get to say goodbye.
I literally, honestly, I had to, and I thought, Nicole, are you crazy? Like, what the hell are you actually doing? And is this normal? But it's been so constant. And I realized that I planned so much of my life around from 11 years old till now around my periods and how important it is. Because I've got friends who don't have periods or they have them very sporadically or there's a medical issue that's attached to that. And, you know, we do have the conversation, but not in the way that you teach it, Samantha, not in the
Mm.
way that you allow us as women and as not even just women, men need to know as well. I mean, my son's got a daughter. And, you know, I keep saying to him, you're going to have this conversation because she walked in the bathroom and she said, Grandma, why are you wearing a nappy? Rude. And then she was like, oh no. And then, because she literally just burst in the bathroom like my grandchildren do. And she was like, oh no, you need a plaster, which I thought was so cute. And then
Oh,
she said, and I said to her, don't worry, baby, you're going to have this too. She's like, I don't want periods. And then she looked at me, she went, let me give you your privacy. I closed the door. She's only 4. She's just, she's just like, you do you over there, love, but I'm not having none of it. And then she just walked off. But also, you know, with my sons, I'm a boy mum. And I've had to speak to them and say, you know, this is important because it does change your
yeah.
mood. But like I said to you, Samantha, I didn't know all of these intricacies until I was much older. So the work that you're doing is absolutely amazing. And you know, we both do taboo type work. I've got
Yeah.
work that I do and I talk about sex. And it's very difficult because people turn their nose down at it, or you feel like you're being quite awkward. And sometimes you want to even dilute it a little bit just for people's comfortabilities. But why should we? We have periods
Mhm.
and they need to be talked about. So that's kind of like my stories around when I first started the journey through it. And now that I'm coming to the end of it, but it has been quite emotional, especially now that I'm coming to the end of it. And they're so connected. So if we're talking about menopause, why the hell are we not talking about periods?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I
So
say that
yeah,
all the time. I think they're
agree.
part of two parts of the same life cycle, but
Right.
actually we don't tend to pay attention to things until things have gone wrong. You know, I say wrong that as
Yes.
nature intended, but you know, until we start
Right.
to feel different about it, we tend not to
Right.
like pay attention to the things, or for the most part, periods are, I think, for a lot of people, at best an inconvenience, at worst like a complete ordeal, and you know can put you in A&E once a month. I've had clients
Yeah.
where that has been the case as well. It depends what your experience. If you've got fibroids, endometriosis, it can be, you know, I understand that level of a dread and fear around periods, but you know, I think we need to have the conversations. You know, for the most part, from your story that you explained, you know, it was kind of figuring it out by yourself. You just sort of learnt on the job, as you say, and you don't get a guidebook for any of this stuff, you know,
Nothing.
to learn about anything. No one really tells you. I mean, we get that sometimes, like that wisdom passed down through um, generations and stuff, but for the most part, we kind of figure it out ourselves, and it just feels really sad that it's only at the end or towards the end when things start to go a little bit
Right.
wonky that we actually pay attention
Yeah.
to that. Um, so like I'm just curious because like, you do so much work around like confidence and finding your voice and being embodied, but how much do you think that the unspoken stuff, like where we can't share that, like from your perspective, like how does that just get in the way of how we show up in life when we can't even talk about those things?
Well, exactly, because we don't, because all of it, I mean, it's not, there's a connection to sex as well, isn't there? Obviously, with your period, because sometimes you may not want, if it's a new partner or what have you, you may not even want to say to them, sorry, you can't come out this weekend because I'm on my period. You know, you just don't. There is a shadow of shame. I don't know if it's shame or if it's just not talked about. It's invisible but visible.
Taboo.
It's subtle, you know, yeah, it's very taboo, it's very subtle, but extremely loud. I mean, we appreciate that not every woman's had a period or not every woman have periods, and we know this, right? But what we're talking about is women who do have periods, and it does affect your confidence because it affects what you wear. You don't know if you're going to have flooding. I mean, and even with the menopause, as soon as at the moment, I'm very regular. So now I'm thinking about my period even more than before because if I miss my period, but it may come back. Do I have to now have leggings in my bag every day? Do I have to have sanitary towels or pads, underwear? I've now got to have almost like like when you've got children, you've got like a bag with all the nappies and all your wet wipes and all the rest of it in there. I now have to have that menopause bag because I'm now thinking about, I don't want to have that embarrassment. Can I wear a white dress? Something like with me, my boobs used to feel like lead. I'd literally have to hold them to take my bra off. I couldn't just let them swing like they usually do. I've got to hold my boobs. It wasn't a matter of, it's more like, don't touch me, don't speak to me. So yes, of course, that will affect your confidence, because your confidence is when you feel like you're in control of your body, you're in control of who you
Yeah.
are and how you're feeling. So if you know that you're on your period and say you're a bit snappy, do I now have to say, sorry to snap at you, I'm on my period? Instead, we find different ways of masking, different ways of showing up and behaving. So absolutely, it does affect your confidence. But also, what I want women to do, along with the power stuff that we talk about, is that stand in your power with that. You don't have to over explain anything to anyone. You just need to be confident in your own body. And somebody could make a comment and you may have dressed a certain way because you're on your period. Do you now have to tell the whole world, I'm on my period, this is why I'm not wearing white like everybody else? No, you shouldn't have to do that. So that's where that self-worth and confidence does come in, that you have your own voice for yourself and you don't have to over explain it, but just understand what's happening to your body and what's happening
Mm.
to you, and not letting society dictate that. And another thing I could probably extend onto that is grey hair. I mean, I've got silver hair, and my nan always used to dye her hair, and we think, oh my God, we're going grey, let's dye it. I don't have a problem with people dyeing their hair because I bleached mine. So whatever you're confident in, if you want to dye your hair and cover your greys, do that. If you don't want to, do that too. That's what I mean. It's standing in who I am. What other people think of you is none of your business. This is your body. You're given permission to self. This is about consent to self. This is around you and how you're feeling. And if I feel like shit because I'm on my period, leave me the hell alone. I used to have Jasmine from, what do you call it, from Aladdin on my computer at work, which meant I was on my period, don't talk to me. I used
I
to have
love that.
yeah, so because so we all used to have little
It's like an
symbols of
unspoken rule.
yeah, it was. I mean, we had a team of women. It wasn't very inclusive in terms of gender at that point. But
Okay.
so what we would all do, we'd all have our little kind of ornaments that would just say "not today," and I'd just have little Jasmine. I would put her up, and everybody just knew. Do you know what? Email Nicole, or do you need a hot water bottle, or do you need a cup of hot water, or whatever it is that you need. So there was that kind of sensitivity and that kind of code, without having to always say, "Leave me alone. I'm on my period, and this is not a good time." Even in my diary for my PA, I'll have in my diary, "I'm due on here." So maybe no meetings or with people that's going to irritate the hell out of me, because I'm not going to have much of a filter. I don't anyway, but when
No.
I'm coming on, it's even worse. It's even
Yeah.
worse, if you can imagine that. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that so much. That you've got that communication like with your VA, and that you put those like boundaries in. Like I can't advocate for like boundaries enough, like around our cycle. And
Yes.
actually, the frameworks, that you've heard me speak about,
Hmm.
they are the thing that give us the permission. Actually, when you start to realize that your energy shifts at a
Hmm.
certain time,
Yes.
and then you put in a boundary around that to help safeguard that energy. Like after a while, it's like, oh, okay, you notice like actually the difference that it makes in your life. It becomes non-negotiable. It's that framework, it's
Hmm.
that understanding that allows you to put in the boundaries. Because I feel like, as a recovering people pleaser and perfectionist, that things are so much easier when you have a reason. Like, oh no, I can't do that because
Yes.
it's so much easier when you have something to
Yes.
justify it with. And actually,
Yes.
once you start to understand your cyclical energy, that is the thing that justifies it. I think,
Right.
understanding those different phases and all your energy, or at least just your period, and that justifies it enough. But I think also the problem is then on on the flip side of that, you were saying about your work colleagues. I think that's amazing that you had that communication between you, but it was still all very hush hush, and that wasn't coming from like a top down approach. That was just like an unspoken kind of
Right.
communication within the office.
Yes.
So, like, how much, I don't know, like, it's difficult to have these more open conversations in the workplace. It is surrounded by taboo as well, but I mean, like, how much more different do you think your experience could have been if that communication was something that your management team was involved in? Like, would you have even felt comfortable at that time, or would it have been strengthened? Like, how would it have changed
Yeah.
that?
I think it would probably be exactly how it was when I saw, that you had the blood drops in your title, and then hearing you speak, it's like, oh, that's just different, because society kind of dictates to how we should think, what we should talk about, when we can talk about it, how we should talk about it. But then it also goes back to what you were saying beforehand around that confidence piece, because when you start to build confidence and self-worth within self, that's when your voice becomes where it needs to be for you. So it's
Mm,
not in isolation, because if we look at, okay, so we can't talk about sex, or we can't talk about religion, or we can't talk about how much money we're earning, or we can't talk around being bullied by somebody at work or what have you. That's all symptoms. The root cause is because, do I feel like brave enough? Do I feel courageous enough? Do I feel like I have a voice? Do I feel like I'm going to be listened to? Am I now going to be isolated or X'd out because I'm the person that spoke up? Am I being aggressive? Am I not being assertive? So it has to come from here, Samantha, because once we start to heal here and do that inner work, then we turn up unapologetically. We turn up to say, well, this is who I am. And if I've offended you, that's a you problem, because this is who I am. Why should I dim my light, or why should I change myself just to appease you? Now, don't get me wrong. It's not a matter of you going in as warrior. Yeah, I'm on my period, or yeah, I had sex last night, or yeah, I earned this amount of money. What I'm saying is that when you say it, you don't feel like you're being penalized for your voice. And I
yes.
said this in a LinkedIn live yesterday, and it's one of my, at the moment I'm feeling this energy at the moment, that it's a quote that says, if standing up for myself burns a bridge, I have a match, we ride at dawn. And that's how I feel. It's like, if I speaking up for me is going to make you uncomfortable, or make you not like me, or make us have to break a friendship, then I'm sorry, I have to come first. And we're not used to doing that. And
No.
then once we get used to doing these things, we can say my period. So for example, my case is just, as I mentioned in the beginning, I haven't had my suitcase since I've been on this workcation for the last 4 days. And one of the guys said to me, oh, don't worry, your suitcase will come. And I was like, well, listen, I'm due on in 2 days, and all my shit's in my suitcase, and I don't know where the hell to buy stuff, because I'm very anal about my underwear that I wear at that time. So I'm now going to have to go and buy all of my sanitary items here. Of course, women are here and they buy them, but for me, it's a very personal thing. I've got my little period bag, my little Ted Baker bag that I put all my stuff in, and they're all organized, and I want that. And my period knickers are folded up and they're all color coded. I'm a little bit really anal with this shit, but I want my suitcase because it's got my stuff in it, and I'm going to go
Yeah.
through something highly personal while I'm here. My swimming costume and everything is a certain one that I bought, the black one, just in case. So, I prepared for me coming on. I don't have the suitcase. So even all of that has really changed how I've been experiencing the time that I've been here so far, because I'm very aware that the time's ticking and my suitcase isn't here. Now I'm going to have to go and buy all these stuff in a foreign country. So, it's around speaking up. So I just said to him, well, I'm coming on in 2 days. I want my suitcase. Stop telling me it's okay. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What the worst time to lose your suitcase? Couldn't be worse. And I know what you mean about like having your items as well, because yeah, I love to have my items wherever I'm going, whatever
Mm,
the situation is. I have to have them. I'm a chronic like overpacker. When I go anywhere, I take way too much stuff. But it's important to have those, and I think those things like also help like our confidence, like knowing the things we
exactly.
need. But I think that also comes with like establishing that for ourselves, and not being the martyr, or like putting on a brave face, and actually like these are like advocating for yourself, like this, I need this,
Yeah.
this needs to happen, I need this for
Right.
me, this is going to make me feel better as a person. It doesn't
Right.
matter if it seems too much to you or whatever, but this is the thing that makes me feel better. And
Exactly.
I think that
And,
can
and
sort of, yeah.
Yeah, no, and sorry to cut you there, but it's like the work that you're doing. This is important because everything comes around our well-being and our mental wealth, right? So
Mm,
if people, so all of that stuff that we've just said there, imagine going to work or going on a work trip and you haven't had your suitcase, but you don't want to say to your manager or your teammates, look, all my sanitary stuff's in my case and I actually need them. It was some, whether it be the medication that's in there or my hay fever tablets, I didn't bring them in my hand luggage. I left them in the case. These are really intricate things that make me feel confident, that make me feel comfortable. But how comfortable am I to actually say, this is going to change my mood and how I'm going to experience this experience?
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that comes with confidence and kind of all of that self stuff, that self worth, that kind of those negative thoughts, and am I being too much or am I being too vulgar or oh no, you can't say that word. It all matters and it all counts to who you are. It's
Yeah.
all about, that's all the makeup that, we don't just step into work and then we become a different person. They say the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, and that's really important. So organizations really should be looking at how are periods impacting that person. And like I've just said, it changes my mood. So it's probably better you email me than don't speak to me. So it's important that you know that, because the next thing you're going to have a bloody grievance because Nicole has snapped at you, or she's always snapping at you every month, and no one's done the maths to realize, okay, so this is how this affects her. So it's really important work that organizations should be looking at. And if we're now
Yeah.
looking at menopause, you can't look at menopause without looking at the periods. I used to work for the RNIB, so that was a charity for the blind. We had more people that was giving money to guide dogs than to blind people. And it was like, and they just couldn't work. They couldn't work because the two have to go together. It's pointless having all these beautiful dogs if people aren't funding the people that need it. So it's the
Yeah.
same thing almost. It's like, organizations, yeah, okay, you want to do the inclusive stuff, brilliant. This is why I talk about belonging more than I talk about diversity and inclusion, because I find it divisive. For people to feel like they belong, what are we doing? It's great that we're seeing sanitary towels and tampaxes in toilets, in the toilets when you go in, that they're there. That's brilliant, because as we know, sometimes we don't know when she's coming. She could just be here.
Yeah.
That's all beautiful. But if you've got that, but you're not talking about it, make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Yes.
You need to bring Samantha into your organizations to have these conversations.
Shameless plug. I love
But
it.
remember, Samantha, I'm coming on. I have no shame.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm aware of time because I said that these were going to be short and snappy, and I'm like, I've got 1,000 things that I wanted to ask, but I think just thinking about one last question, because I know we've already overrun a little bit. A lot of the time I talk about in organizations, like it kind of needs to be a top-down approach in terms
Mhm.
of like management leadership need to start saying we're open to having this conversation so people feel safe to go forward and
Yes,
have those conversations. But I'm also very aware that in a lot of spaces that isn't in that isn't an open practice of having those conversations.
yes,
There is a lot of shame, taboo, stigma, etc. Everything we talked about, and I worry for the people that are struggling in silence, but yet it's not safe for them. Because I say always, before you have these conversations, are you in a position where you feel safe to have them? Um,
absolutely.
because I feel like there's a lot of fear of like retribution for like, you know, exposing yourself, saying the thing, worried about repercussions, worried about being penalized, worried about it going against you. If you're a person that said like, oh, I really can't, I'm really struggling with period pain, you said it so openly, is that going to go against you for promotions, opportunities, etc.? Like, oh no, she always dips out of stuff, she has period things, that kind of like mindset. So if there's somebody out there and they feel that they don't feel safe, and I know this is very
Hmm.
much your realm of expertise, like what advice like would you give them to help put them in a position where they feel like they're advocating for themselves, but also feel like they're in a position of safety as well? Big
Yeah,
last
and that's
question.
a big yeah, it's a big, big question, and it's also an important one. And I'll be quick. The thing is that once you've got to that stage, where you're like, no, enough is enough. When you come to that self advocacy, but advocating for others, I would say see if there is a women's network within your organization. Also, if your organization is saying that they care about their people and they've got a well-being, if they've got a well-being network or if they've got mental health champions, speak to them about it, because it's something that they can bring to the table and you can segue or sideways into that. I used to always say that, I mean, I do have migraines. I didn't realize at the time it was connected to my period, mind you. So if I went for my jobs, I would say I suffer from migraines. Now that's totally accepted, where I should be able to say I suffer from period pains. However, it's around that education piece, because you know that we get shut down. So look at your organization. If they are definitely saying that they're doing belonging, diversity, inclusion, well-being, um, gender, then to me, it's almost like, well, if you say that you're doing this work, you're either doing it or you're not. You can hold them to account. And most organizations are doing something in one of those four spaces. And even if you have a staff network that's not gender-led, which usually you do, to be fair, you usually have disabilities, race, LGBTQ, and gender, any one of those, you're going to have women in those groups. So you can still
Yeah.
bring the conversation. So think of ways outside, I know people don't really say outside the box anymore. I'm so old school, but think of different ways of how you can still bring the conversation in, because the bottom line is it's around belonging and it's around humanity. And it's
Hmm.
and as I say, so and the policies, look at them. If they have a menopause policy, again, why we're not talking about periods, but then you have to be that advocate and be able to stand up and say, look, we need to talk about this a bit more. And organizations want to see what's the link. Find the link, which we know there is, and bring that case forward and see if there's other people that can support you. Get your male solidarity guys. I don't like to say the word allies. It just seems a bit wishy-washy to me. It's standing in solidarity and have those conversations and see who those people that you can appease, and go to your senior leaders. Speak to
Yeah.
them. Have the
Amazing.
conversation.
Amazing.
Step
That
into your
is,
brave space.
yes, brave space. I love that. Yes, I
And also do it when you're coming on, because I don't know, those hormones help you. They give you that warrior energy. So when you're
yeah,
about to
no
come on,
BS
you say, well,
energy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, for anyone that doesn't know like where you are or how to get in contact with you, just is there anything that you want to say that you didn't say? How can people get in touch with you? Where can people find you? What are you doing?
I'm being a proper coach here now, I'm sorry, but I would prefer them to be getting in touch with you. They need to book you. Honestly, I mean, honestly, they need you in their lives and in their organizations. But I mean,
Oh,
I'm Nicholè McGill-Higgins. Slide into my DMs. Connect with me, do all of that jazz. But I think this conversation for me was one of probably the best I've had, because it's so taboo. And like, I talk a lot around sex in my other non-corporate stuff. So I love when other people are stepping into their power and going against the status quo. So for me, connect with Samantha if you haven't. Please look at the stuff that she's doing. It is absolutely groundbreaking. She's such a beautiful person. She knows her shit. So connect with her. And if you're already connected, you tell someone else to book her and bring her into your organization. That's what I want. Don't worry
oh,
about me.
thank you. You're amazing. Oh, well,
Yeah,
oh,
but thank you.
oh, you're very, very welcome. Well, thank you for being my first guest. Thanks everyone for tuning in and for finding us. I hope everyone found us. I really hope attempts 1 and 2 are not live on the internet. I'm going
That's
to go.
so funny. Oh, the last thing I would like to say is that if you're
Yeah.
not a part of the Confidence Hub with Sassy, you need to be a part of her group as
Oh,
well.
you're
She is
just
doing
popping over
amazing
there.
thing. And I'm literally going to be delivering a session today. And I'm not plugging for you to come to my session. I mean, if you've got the time, obviously do that. But if not, still join Sassy's Confidence Club. Amazing women are in there. She's doing amazing things. She's such a beautiful soul. And it's all about confidence. Why would you not want to be there?
No, I feel
So
like we've really set the tone for the day of confidence.
yeah, we have it. Hey. Yeah, but thank you, Samantha. Thank you for inviting me. It's such an honor to be your first guest. Congratulations to you for doing this. You have to look, practice makes progress, right? It's not about perfectionism. So congratulations, you. I love seeing you shining and you're absolutely blooming. So well done. It's launched. You've done it. You've done it.
We got on the internet. Okay.
All right then.
Thanks
So
everybody.
see you.
Bye.
All right, bye. Bye.